Well, hello and welcome to our Canvas Hour this month. Today I have, well, my name is Thad Stott. I am an instructional technologist in the Educational Technology Department, and with me I have Jenny Griffith and Mark Labbit from the instructional design team. Mark, I keep wanting to say Labette because I know that you hate it when people call you
I
Labette,
know.
and so sometimes I tease you, and now it's become a habit. So I apologize if that
I
ever
know.
slips.
I'll just call you Thad Scott, that's all.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and give it to you, Mark. You're going to give us a little bit of information on the release notes, and then open it up for questions if anyone has anything. Thanks.
Yes, so you see my screen all right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to pull up some of the release notes as of, I guess, March 30th. Nothing super exciting. Some of the things are on the admin side, such as branding and even some message content they updated. Um, if you're using text and getting notified via text, it limits the uh, number of it benefits you by limiting the number of text messages that you'll get, because it reduces things like the URLs if you're posting a big URL or something like that. So that's just a minor thing. I'm not sure how many of you actually used text notifications for things such as when grades are posted, or if there's a discussion thread that was signed up, things like that. So that's kind of a minor thing. Um, One of the things that they did do is this final grade override percentage scores for the grade book. And I don't know if a lot of you use percentages. We do have some schools that use them exclusively. Sometimes some of the courses do utilize them. But basically what it's done is it gives you an option to override the final grade, and that may be based on some outside things that the student may have done, or if it just didn't grade it the way that you specifically thought it would, and the percentage is supposed to be different. So it allows you to change, and by the way I read it, it looks like if you had a 94% and the range was from 94 to 100, it would just show, if you give them an A, it would just show 94% for some reason. Now you're able to go in and put the specific percentage in there. So if any of you use that, it's something that you may have noticed in the past where you weren't able to do, but I don't really think that affects a whole lot of people. Um, some other minimal updates, just some label removes for admins. They've made the back button a little bit more clear. Uh, for a lot of students do utilize the forward and back button. So what that does is actually it just, let me show here the back button context. What that does is it actually just shows like back to search or back to home page. It just might be a little bit more specific now than just saying back, which is kind of nice. So you might see that as a feature change within Canvas. I think the rest is basically just for admins. Some group membership edit message clarification, which is a little bit more specific to those of you who may use groups. It just lets you edit. Let's see, it says the group membership edit message has been worded for functionality and clarity, so it really just makes things a little bit more clear if you're editing things. So nothing too dynamic or exciting happening with the upgrades this month. They're always working on bugs and issues, so it looks like they've fixed a lot of those, which is good. And user input is always helpful. So if you do have problems or just something minimal that's annoying you and you don't have to work around or you get around it, still let them know through the help pages, whether it's just chatting with somebody and just telling them real quick, here's this thing that I come across all the time that's really annoying, because they'll really take that into consideration. And if it's something a lot of people are reporting, or if it's something easy to fix, they definitely will go in and update that. So it's important to let them know what's going on if there's something that doesn't seem right or just bothers you throughout your browsing experiences. So So that's really all as far as the updates. Again, nothing too exciting going on. We can open it up to questions or concerns regarding Canvas or navigation or things like that. Looks like we have a good number of people on the call, so please come forward with your questions. And that, I'm not sure how we do that. Is it something where everybody has audio set up, or we go by raised hands, or
Yeah,
question thing?
some people choose to just put questions in the question panel. They just ask just to type out their question there. Other people raise their hand, and we'll just unmute them if they raise their hand so they can explain a little bit in detail, what maybe problems or concerns they have. A lot of times we just don't even get any questions at all, and so sometimes we will, I don't know, go through a little review or show people how to do something, and we'll take requests if anyone would like a review on, for example, how to create a content page with embedding an external site or something like that. I mean, that's kind of what we did last month, but
Sure.
yeah, if there's any questions or any requests, now is definitely the time. And if not, then we'll just end early and and no problem at all.
Yeah, and if you guys want to think of some questions a little bit, one thing I did want to bring up, and it's not necessarily Canvas related, but something that I've started to use a little bit when I'm getting information from different departments, or getting syllabi and so forth, which is a citation creator. And I'm not sure how many of you have seen this or used it, but it was a resource in the Online Writing Center I thought was pretty interesting, and it's a neat little citation machine in which you can get a ISBN number. If that's all you have, you can let me see, I don't know if that's a real ISBN number, so let me go to a course here and grab one. But it's really nice because it'll spit out an APA citation for the book or magazine or article that you're looking for. So it's a really neat little feature. It also does MLA and other type of formats, but basically you just put in the ISBN and it'll bring up, hopefully, which is the book that you're looking for. It shows that here, and if that's the one you want, you click select. It finds the information. It says here's the citation, and it fills in whatever information it has from the ISBN. Sometimes it'll have a lot more information, sometimes it may not. So the final step in clicking in that gives you the citation. So if you do have more information, you can punch it in yourself. If you see that something might be wrong, or it spelled something wrong, you can do that. You can also, if it's a magazine, it will ask you if you just want to cite certain areas and so forth, you can do that. And then you just hit create citation, and sometimes you'll have to see an ad before you do it. I think every 48 hours it gives you a 30-second video that you have to watch, but other than that, it brings the citation right here, and you could just copy and paste that into wherever you're doing. Just obviously when you paste it, make sure that you're getting the correct italicized text and so forth when you're doing that. So I did put the link to that in the chat, so if you guys want to utilize that, it's a neat little tool to use that technically isn't Canvas related, but when doing that into Canvas, it's nice to have the right citation for that. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, it's an awesome resource. Thanks for bringing that up, Mark. Looks like we do have one question from Becky. She asks, how can I put a link in an announcement to point students to a web page like the Writing Center?
Right. Oh, that's a great question. That's awesome. Let me go into one of my sandboxes, which is kind of messy, but we'll go into an announcement. So yeah, I mean, the easiest way is to, if you already have the URL, is to just, go ahead and type it, if it's a real simple one, you can do it that way. And basically when you hit enter, it'll create that link. Another way, if you have a real long URL, or you know, just want to use text instead of using the actual URL, you can do it this way. And let me see if I don't know if I have the online writing center like right here, but what I'll do, I think, and sorry if I'm going through this, but I know that there's a place for the online writing center within this resource center. So here's the online writing center. So here's the online writing center. What I do is I'm just going to copy this big long URL so I don't have to, you know, type it out. And when I'm in the announcement, I can type out the words online writing center, and then you highlight it, and then you find this little link button here to link to URL. Click on that, paste. I just hit Control V to paste that in there, and then insert link, and it'll automatically highlight that and be a link to that. You can also just paste the entire link. Problem with doing that though, and it's kind of an accessibility issue, it's hard for people who are using like a screen reader or something to actually kind of follow and listen to this whole giant thing. With this, it will read it as, you know, click online writing center, click, I forget exactly how it reads it, but it's a lot easier for them if you have the words and then you link within that. So that's the best and easiest way to do that. And you can do that with any URL, and then just send that. So, and you can do that in discussions as well, because the discussion page is basically just the same rich text editor. So you can do it that way, which is nice. So that's a great question. So I hope that I answered that. And if you have a follow-up with that, please let us know.
There is a follow-up question on that one, Mark. Becky asks, where did you go to find those resources? I haven't seen that. Do I have access to it?
Right. This online writing campus center page is within a resource center that I created for the MAP program, and students can access the online writing center through their my Chicago school. So, you know, in my access may be a little bit different than students, but that's how it's accessed, I guess, through the portal through that. Not every single department has a resource cafe set up for students and or faculty, but I have worked with, I think, 4 or 5 different departments that are utilizing something like this, and this was highlighted in one of the technology resource competitions that we had as well. And basically it's just a resource center for students and faculty to go to that includes a lot of information that may not necessarily be in a classroom. So you can see there's like department information, course sequence information, faculty and staff bios. A lot of departments are starting to get these created. So whenever they do that, they usually put in things like plagiarism resources in the online writing center. So, but for faculty and students, they can access it through.
This is specifically built for Chicago School, but
yes.
all of our affiliates do have access to this, correct? Or any of the other institutions? Is it a public course?
Oh, yeah, I'm not. No, this is not, because it's more specific to this department. The online writing center, I'm not exactly sure how that works for other affiliates. I think it just depends on what kind of access the students have as far as like a portal when they log in to say Saybrook or Dallas University Institute or something like that. So that would definitely have to, you know, check with the department or the you know, head of the school to see what kind of access students have to things like this, because it definitely is something that all the affiliates should have access to. But I know that, you know, there might be different access for different students. So that's a good question too. Thanks, Dad.
And also to keep in mind, I guess not keep in mind, but to let you know, we are also creating a resource center for all the affiliates. It's a resource center that we're developing, that the Ed Tech department is currently developing, and we're kind of in the late stages, in the actual development stages. It's been designed, and we're just basically building it right now. So we will keep you posted on when that will be released. But this resource center will have these types of links to different types of resources, instructional videos, basically all of the webinars that we've done here, any topic that might be relevant or related to online teaching within our system that we have access to, that we have done, should be organized and posted in this resource center that is going to be system-wide. So even though this resource center that Mark was showing us is more Chicago school based, we do have something coming down the line that will be available to everybody, but also even much more extensive as well. It looks like we do have a few questions too. So Cherie wanted to have the link to see if they could access that resource center, I think. Cherie, is that the link that you were asking for? The link to the Chicago School Resource Center? Yes, that's what she was asking for. Becky likes that. She was, yeah, probably a little bit more.
Which affiliate are you? Which affiliate are you with, Cherie? I just am curious.
She's PO.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if they have any specific resources sent there. And I think this is a public, I mean, you can definitely, check this out. I'll give you the link to it. And I'm not 100% sure if it is public just by the link. If not, let me know, like offline, you can send me an email and we can see what kind of access we can get you to look at it. But it's definitely something that a lot of departments are looking at, because they do want a central place for students to be able to go to find really department specific information. A lot of the portals that are there for the affiliates are more school related, like, your academics, like what courses you may need, or financial aid, things like that. Whereas this is more specific to the department. If you have different licensures or certificates or things that you want students to know that aren't really course specific. So, basically that's something that, you can talk to the department about, see if that's something you want to do, and then approach the instructional design team to see how we can do that for you. It's not something that we build overnight. It is a process, and so we'd give you a timeline on that if it's something you want to do.
So yes, Becky, that's an excellent question, and reach out to us offline, and we can work out, maybe put this on a project timeline, work and try and get something for you as well. But yes, Cherie did confirm that she does have access to this,
Good.
from Pacific Oaks as well.
And yeah, and I'm posting Michael Braden's email out there, because he would be the contact to kind of touch base with first, to say, hey, we're interested in designing something like this, and then he can touch base with an instructional designer that would be able to assist with that.
Great. All right, do we have any other questions? Anything else we can help you all with?
Does anybody have any questions related to how Canvas is working when they're in their classes, or any student complaints or issues that they may have had with, or ideas with discussions or announcements or assignments, anything like that?
Cherie has a question about uploading rubrics, wanting to know how to upload those faster. Cherie, can you give us a little bit more information on, do you mean faster as in a quicker route to getting that uploaded, or are you having some issues with the process in general?
If you want to put her on the mic, are you able to do that?
Yeah, I can unmute you.
Yeah, unmute her and see what she has, because that sounds good.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, with the rubrics, you have to input the subject of the rubric and then what a 5 means all the way down to 0. Is there a faster process, or is it just you just have to do it that way?
Right.
I
And
just
is
wanted to know
this
if there was a trick.
sure, sure. And is this the screen that you're talking about when you're in an assignment and you're adding
Yeah.
a rubric? Okay. Now, is that something that you're doing for an on-ground class?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Because normally for the online courses right now, the instructional designer usually works with you on that. But for the on-ground classes, unfortunately, there's not. I mean, there's not necessarily a quicker way to do that.
Okay.
There is a side-loaded program that a Canvas user created in which you have an Excel spreadsheet that you can utilize to upload it. But to be honest, I've found that it takes just as long to set up the Excel spreadsheet as it does to just manually enter it.
Okay.
So yeah, unfortunately, that's one of the things that they really have not worked a lot on as far as how to get rubrics uploaded. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just as frustrating to us because sometimes I've had a rubric that had 15 criteria on it and 4 or 5 different ratings, so it
Right.
really is tedious. Now the one thing I can say, and I'm not sure of your access at the higher level, but when you're in I'm trying to see where it is. If you're in, I don't think, yeah, you wouldn't have access to it, but whenever you create a rubric within a specific course,
Mm-hmm.
it does stay there. So if you're needing to use the same rubric or a similar rubric and all you want to do is modify it, you can go into find a rubric. Now I have access to all these different courses, but excuse me, yours would just show the courses that you have access to, and you would click on that course and it would show all the rubrics that are in that course. So if you wanted to
I
pull up,
had access to all of that, but
yeah.
at the end of last year, I believe there was a purge, and at that particular time, I was adjunct, so I didn't get the emails stating that they were
Oh,
purging, and so
huh, that's
I lost
interesting.
because I've been adjunct for 5 years, and so a
Yeah.
lot of those, yeah, were
That's
taken down.
odd. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's odd that that happened.
Right.
I'm not sure if they were just trying to, um, clean up all the different rubrics that are in there, because you
Mhm.
can see this is my access and I have access to all these courses that have different
Right.
rubrics in them. And what we can do is we can build a rubric at the top level so that when I go into any course, I can see that rubric and I can pull it in. So,
Okay.
but yeah, unfortunately, that's the quickest way to just create it. But you can always kind of create maybe a generic one that you can pull from and then,
Right.
just
And then
modify it. But it is,
mhm.
unfortunately, that is a really tedious process that as designers, we're not excited about either. So hopefully
Right.
they're looking at that.
Okay.
And it
Thank
seemed that,
you.
sure, and kind of related, Becky asked if, how do I find rubrics to upload? And I'm not sure, Becky, if you mean ones that you've already created or ones that somebody else has created.
And Becky, I can unmute you as well if you'd like to discuss. I'll unmute you, and you can unmute yourself as well if you'd like.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I know there's a little button there that says find rubric, and I've
Hmm.
tried that before, but it's hard to find anything that's relevant. Um,
Right.
I'm a fairly new adjunct. I've been teaching for a year and a half, and I usually receive shells that have pre-populated information, which I have to change and modify. Sometimes it has rubrics and sometimes it doesn't, but
Right.
there's usually, it would be really helpful to have a generic rubric that I could just modify. Like sometimes they'll have it by percent and I want it by points or, something like that. But I have not been successful in finding one that I could pull in and modify.
Right,
that would be
right. And
relevant.
that really just depends on the access that you have and what rubrics were already created. And like you said, they may or may not be good rubrics. But if you find one and put it in, once you modify it, it kind of creates its own. So it's not like you're updating somebody else's rubric. So if you find one that like, yeah, this one looks all right, I just need some modification, you can do that. As far as the points go, whenever it right now it just does go within points, as far as creating the rubrics. So you can do a range of points that'll show, but it should only be set up as points. Now that doesn't mean that the assignment itself is set up that way. The assignment itself, when you're editing that, it could be as these are the different options. It could be a percentage, complete, incomplete, points, letter grade, GPL scale not graded. However, that also can be somewhat overridden when you're looking at the assignments as a whole. So this screen, when you click assignments, will show every assignment, including discussions and any other groups that you want to put in. And what you can do is you can create specific groups. So you may want, discussions as a group. You may have like final project that involves like 4 or 5 different assignments. And then you can put those assignments underneath the final project. And then what you can do is with this little ellipse here, you can assign weights to in the upper left-hand corner here, the 3 little dots. Next to you can click on that, and what that'll bring up is the assignment group's weight. And once you click that, it'll show you all the different groups that you've created or have in there, and then you can change it. So that kind of overrides the point system if you have all your stuff set up as a point system, which you can, but it really doesn't make a difference if you make this 50% and you make, the rest, and it tells you where you're totaled. So
Okay, thank you.
so
That's good to know.
does,
I did not know that existed there, and I probably need to use this term. So
you can it weights it weights the final grade that way, and it'll show the grade as a percentage. It kind of eliminates the need for points technically, because it doesn't matter how many points it's worth. But just make sure that's good with your department to do it that way, as far as weighting your things. The other way to weight the assignments by using points is just obviously make the assignments worth more than the other assignments.
Yeah, so I have in my syllabus, it says it has like a grid that shows the percent of the various things, but I've modified some of the points and whatnot. Now, obviously, I scored the students on the points that are there, but if I do this this thing with the percents and I'm using it for grading, will it give me their grade as a percent from the points that I did, or it just overrides it? And
it will still give you, that's a good question.
I was thinking I would have to do in a spreadsheet the average discussion score for each student and then multiply that by the percent weight in the other things in order to meet what the syllabus says it's doing.
I'm not sure if I'm not exactly sure on that, because it will still show the specific grades. Like it'll still show how many points the student gets. And then what it does, so let's see, that's just incomplete, complete. Sorry about that. So it will show, I don't know if this one's complete or incomplete either. Yeah, so what it does is it's going to show the points they got, but then at the end for that student, it will show the percentage based on the weighting. So I'm not exactly sure if that answers the question. It probably doesn't. If you're just using points, then yeah, you're going to need to do that manually to figure out, the weighting and percentage to make sure. But if you use this weighted percentage and you go in specifically, it should show all their points. I'm not sure if I got your question right, so if you want to reword it, maybe.
Well, it's all very interesting because I didn't know these tools were available in Canvas, so when I've done it before, I just made a spreadsheet to do it
Right,
because I know my points are out of whack with the percentage rate that
right.
it's supposed to be, and so I had to balance them, which is not my strong point. So I'd
No, I
rather have a
agree.
tool doing it if it's going to do that.
Right. It obviously isn't mine either because I haven't explained that perfectly. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it would be easier if you guys, if you utilize weighted percentages on specific assignments, it's much easier to do it this way because at that point it really doesn't matter how many points you assign to each assignment.
Exactly.
If you have 10 discussions and it's worth 20%, it doesn't matter what the students scored on that discussion. However, it's nice to have the points that the students can kind of see where they fell in, but it doesn't matter if it's 10 points, 5 points, 20 points.
Right.
It's still going to, amount to the same percentage in the final grade. So, so I mean, technically, you wouldn't have to change any of your points if you wanted to just go straight to the weighted assignments and just punch in the number. But what you have to do when you click on assignments, and normally with a course, it'll just separate it by assignments and discussions.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have to go in and create your groups,
Right.
and it's pretty simple because all you do is just drag it down and it changes it. So you create what
Oh, I
groups you
see.
want. Yeah.
Right.
So this is a group.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, mine is by discussions and assignments.
Yeah, and if you just
And
have
I
those
don't think
two.
there's any, well, the summative assignment is a different weight, so that would be outside of regular assignments.
Right. So all you would
So,
do is
yeah,
just add a group and call it
exactly.
a summative assignment, and then that would be separate. So
Right. Okay, cool.
yes, I
And
mean
I get to that by using the three dots beside
this
assignment.
one up here, not this one down here. This one just edits the group, but the
Okay.
one up here gives you the option
Okay,
to
great.
group.
Thank you.
And then if you decide you don't want to do it, you just uncheck it. But it does save your things if you accidentally
Uh-huh.
uncheck it. So that's nice too.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's helpful.
Sure, no, that's great. That's good. A great question because that's not always covered a lot.
Yeah, it was not obvious. And I'm
Right.
glad
No,
to
it's
know it.
not.
So yeah.
And what's funny is that this is usually a settings button that when you click on it, it gives you a bunch of different things. This one only gives you one option. So why not just have a separate button that says that? Another
Right.
little
Yeah.
thing that Canvas could probably, try to fix. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for that. That's a great question.
All right. Thank you. I think I'm good then.
Good. All right. Let's see. I think we've covered everything else. I could put a link.
Yeah, these are some
Any
great
other
questions.
questions out there?
Great
Yes.
discussions. Thank you, everybody, for contributing. We do still have some time if there's anything else that anyone would like to discuss or go over. I know sometimes it can be hard just to randomly think about something that you'd like to learn about in Canvas, especially when usually if you don't know how to do something, it's because it hasn't really presented itself to you. So maybe next time we can try and make a list of potential topics to discuss that might help trigger or spark some questions that we can go through.
Yeah. And kind of related to what we were just talking about, especially for the on-ground faculty or adjuncts that kind of design their own courses and put things together. There's an assignments tab and a discussions tab within the course. Most of the time, those will both be visible. The discussions tab really just is a little more confusing than the assignments tab. The assignments tab gives you basically all the assignments, which includes discussions or any other things that you've put together that needs grading, like a quiz or something like that. So it'll outline everything. It doesn't always necessarily put them in date order. but you can change that, and once you change that, it remains that way. So it's a little bit easier to organize. It's almost like going into the syllabus button, which lists all of the assignments by date, which is very nice, but you may not always see that with assignments, but with the discussions button, what makes that a little bit more different is that it orders it by recent activity, which is nice if you're trying to see, okay, did students go and log into these discussions and post anything, which is really nice. You can also pin a discussion to the top, so every time you come into the screen, this will always be on the top, even though it's ordered, by recent activity. So, there's only 3 discussions in this course, but if you have 7, 8, 9, 10 discussions, these will all be listed out of order. It only orders it by recent activity, which can make it a little bit more difficult if you're trying to grade or things like that. So I always suggest to just go into the assignments button, because those are usually ordered in a better format, and then you can just go right to that assignment, to check it out. So that's just a little tip there.
Awesome. We do have a few more questions coming in.
Good.
Cherie, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Cherie. I apologize if I'm not. Cherie asks, why use modules?
Yes, that's a great question. The reason I like modules, and let me go to a different course here. So this is just a course I'm working on right now, so it's not completely finalized, but I like the module format because it's an outline for the course. Now, it's hard to tell how students utilize their course when they go in. A lot of students will just go to the syllabus page, which is a little misleading because it's not always the course syllabus, but it lists all of the assignments by date. Now, all these assignments may not necessarily be in the module page. They should be, but if you're not even using modules, then there won't be anything in the modules page. The module page to me is more like an outline of the course, and that's how students can see, okay, in module 1, here's all the things that are going on. The module page will include regular pages that you may want students to read and not necessarily assignments. So this here is just a content page, this module 1 overview, and there's no assignment here, it's just information for them to view. So I like to think that students would use it as an outline, and once they're in this module, they just go to next, and that brings up the second item that's in that module listing, which is a reading and assignments page. And if they're looking at the syllabus, they would never see this page because it's not an assignment. It's just information about a page or information about the course and what you need to do. So that's where the module really comes into play, and I'm not sure. I believe with the orientations that we give the students, we do recommend that they go to the modules page as a start. That's kind of our starting point for students. In fact, some of the new home pages that we've been working with, we have modules start here because that gives them the outline of the course. It gives them information that is not necessarily an assignment, but things they need to review and check out. Like in our course home, we always put, library, bookstore, some additional things. So I like to build a course with the modules, because you can add a module, whatever name you want the module to be, whether you want it to be week 1, week 2, or just general information for the students. And then within each module, you can add, assignments, quizzes, a file, a page, a discussion, a text header. You can put a web link on the module list. So there's a lot of useful things to the modules, and maybe one of our next Canvas hours, we can delve into the module list a little bit more and how to develop that.
Awesome, thanks. Dr. Lee also has a question about modules. And is wondering, has anyone fixed that to put discussions in sequence? Let's see, see if I understand that question right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is an extra step, and it's not really that it's a fix. I think that it's more or less how Canvas wants the discussion. I mean, there should be a different way to order them. That could be a request. If you go into the help area and you go into chat with Canvas or report a problem, you can suggest things, and that would be a good suggestion to say change the order, give us an option to order these discussions, because it's ordered by recent activity and that's the only way to order it right now. However, it would be nice to have it ordered by numerically, and that's why I say always just go to the assignments button, because you can see the way I have this set up is I have video written assignments and they're all there and they're all in order, and even if they weren't in order, I could make them in order and it would always stay that way. So if I put unit 8 on the top and then I go away from that and then I come back, unit 8 is still going to be on the top. So that's why I always suggest just to go to this section. The problem with that is you can't see the same information as you do in the discussion tab as far as how many people have posted to it. You can't see it here because nobody's posted, but it tells you how many people have replied to it and so forth. I think in that other class that I was at, you could see that.
Okay, so I think maybe she's wondering about dragging them in the actual discussions. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. You can't see, it doesn't let me move it.
Yeah.
Like it, and I don't understand that, because then why even have the option to drag it somewhere? I guess you can drag it to pinned. That's the only place you can drag it, but you can't drag the order within discussions. You can drag it to close for comments too. So I don't like this screen that much at all, but it would be nice to have this information here where it says unread and replied. To me, they should just put that in this list here, because then you could scroll down to all your discussions and you could see if people have replied. So I agree, that's a good request for Canvas to kind of look at that.
Yeah, and then Becky suggests, but in pinned you can select the order you want, and Dr. Lee actually did bring that up in the comments where she said pinning also works, but it's an extra step that she doesn't, or that Dr. Lee doesn't appreciate.
Correct. Yeah. Totally agree. I definitely agree with that, and it just can get very bulky that way. It's just an odd way to do it. It would be nice if they just gave us an option, and I'll actually make a note to request that. Again, if enough people are bothered by it, it's something they may look at. But there should just be a button to say order by recent activity, order by due date, order by name, whatever. That would be nice to do that. So that's a good thing. Thanks for bringing that up.
And then back to Cherie's discussion or question on modules, Becky also had a response saying that she was having a hard time with fixing the modules in the dummy shell because she made a lot of modifications, and the shell was built for a 7-week online course, but she was doing a 14-week on ground.
Yeah. Yes. Dr. Lee, which school are you with?
Oh, that was actually Becky.
That was Becky?
And that was actually in regards to the previous discussion about modules, not about discussions that Dr. Lee had brought up.
Right. Okay, got
regarding it. Regarding Cherie's question.
Yeah, the problem with the module listing and modifying it, I mean, you can definitely, let me go back to this one because I won't mess up the course I'm working with. Yeah, I mean, you can easily drag things, to different things, to different modules. You can edit the module to be something different. You can change the name of the module and update it that way. You can also minimize your modules, which this may be helpful. If you minimize all your modules and say, if you have a ton of stuff in a module, but all you want to do is put this module above here, then you can click and drag it and it brings the whole module up. So that might be a convenient thing. The other thing is that if you have a page that you may have created, but it's not in the module list, then that's a little bit harder because you don't see it anywhere. So you would have to go to this add button within your module, use the drop-down menu to page, and it'll list every page that's in your course. And then you can add that to the module. And you can still move it around once it's added, but that's the thing. It's like not everything that has been created is going to be in your module listing unless you add it. And that can be helpful because you may not want, there may be like an overview page or an outcomes page that you have that you don't really want to clutter up the module with, but you have a link to it within your within one of your pages, and you just don't need it in the module listing. So there's some different options there. So I'm not sure if that completely answers your question, but that's the way to modify the module listing, is to drag and drop. That's really the best way to do it. You can, if you'd remove something from the module list, like if you use this little three dot here and you click remove and it disappears, it doesn't delete that, it just removes it from your module list. So it will still be in your pages list or your assignment list. So that's another way. If you don't need it, you can just remove it completely. It still remains in the course, it's just not within your module listing. But it can be tedious if you're, like you said, if you're going from a 8 to 14 week or 14 to 8 weeks. It's just a matter of trying to keep everything in line. So hopefully that answers your question.
Becky's also asking about access to some training materials. And Becky, I was typing this out, but I'll tell you live as well. But what's happening is, I mentioned the resource center that we are currently building. But I guess to add some context, I apologize. So Becky was wanting some training materials, some training resources from ordered from beginning to advanced, so that she could kind of follow along and find some good relevant training materials that go over the basics, but also kind of progress with her own level of progression. Right. So the resource center will provide categories. In fact, it'll also provide certifications. Eventually, that's not going to be right at launch, but our goal is to have some different levels of certifications or competencies that you can acquire through these Canvas trainings. But also, it will be a central hub for you to access any kind of materials, resources that you need. And that is coming down the line. But currently, we do also have some resources available through our YouTube channel. On our YouTube channel, we have a Canvas category where there are some basic Canvas trainings, some intros, and then some a little bit more advanced trainings as well. Usually you can tell in the title and in the description of the training the nature of that training on the YouTube channel. And I'll post a link here to our channel.
I got it right here.
Oh, nice job. Right here. Thank you.
And here it is as well.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. The Canvas guides are not as intuitive as they should be. I myself have found it difficult to find something specific when searching the Canvas guides. The resources are harder to find. To be honest, the best way to do it, and I know it seems like it's kind of a waste of time for the chat people, but chat is the best way to find an answer, because they're immediate. They're there all the time to give you an answer, and they're usually very knowledgeable and polite to get you what you're looking for. And I know that seems kind of dumb to like chat with somebody with every little thing you're looking for, but again, they're very helpful with the chat, and sometimes it's so much easier than trying to find the guides. Again, I've found the guides to be a little tough if you're not, because you're not always sure of your question, and when you type out a whole long question, it just picks out some words, and they're not the words that you really wanted. So, so we totally understand that, and that's why I would recommend the chat.
Yeah, their help is exceptional, and we're in the highest tier of service from Canvas, so they should get back to you right away. And obviously you have the live chat option, and you could call them as well if you have a more complicated question that's hard to type out. But can you show them where to go one more time on that for any questions or concerns that you might have within Canvas. In a
Yeah,
Canvas
and
course.
yeah, in any Canvas course,
Do you mind showing them the student views? Oh, actually, you know what? They'll see it in that same view that you
yeah, it should
that
be the
you.
same.
Yeah, it should be the
Yeah,
same.
either way. But yeah, I mean, it's always along this left-hand global side. This doesn't change. Excuse me. No matter where you are in a course or anything, it's always here. So the little help button here, and since I'm in student view, it says student, but as a faculty, you saw the other version, it said support with a faculty member. It's real great. Like I said, they usually answer within minutes, and you'll find somebody that's very knowledgeable about Canvas and what to get you with, and um, and there are some departments that may request that uh, you know we have a specific session on something that instructors may be looking for, but we're trying to, like Thad said, to get some information up on the resource center for everybody to be able to access, and recording things like this is nice because it can be posted and reviewed by everybody.
Becky, what institution are you with? The reason I ask is because we do have institution centric. Oh, just TCS. Oh, DC. I see. Okay. Um, I was gonna offer, depending on the affiliate. Sometimes our team, the Department of Ed Tech, will go out to the affiliates and do in-person trainings, and then we will, we'll record those trainings and take them home, take them back to our studio and our editing studio, and edit them up, tidy them up, and render them, and then upload them and send them over to the institution. And sometimes, depending on the institution or the affiliate where they publish or post those things, it can be those types of resources can be found on an institutional level as well.
Yeah, and if there is enough interest, by the adjuncts and traditional faculty as well, it's real easy to do a webinar too if the department or school requests that we do a webinar geared just towards your faculty. Any one of our instructional designers or Thad or Sean can set something up like that, with enough notice and attendance and so forth, that we could do a webinar specific to a school.
Or even one-on-one, if you just have some
Mm-hmm.
problems and you have some questions, any of, whatever ideas supporting your school, or you can reach out to that tech department and we can also help with those needs as well. But I think a good start would be, first of all, the Canvas help, and then second, to go through some of the resources that are available to you through the Ed Tech department on our YouTube channel, and then also reaching out to the ID that you work with, instructional designer, and or the Ed Tech department, either Sean or myself.
Yeah, and right now, the instructional design team at the system level doesn't officially support the on-ground faculty, but that doesn't mean we're not here to help you. I was brave enough, I threw up my email address there since there's only 11 you on, so hopefully I won't get too bombarded. But feel free to, reach out to me, and if you have some questions, especially the on-ground faculty, because sometimes the training isn't as coordinated as it should be, because sometimes you're a last minute addition to a class or things like that. So yeah, definitely reach out to us. And for the online instructors, there always is an instructional designer assigned to a specific school or a specific class. So you can even reach out to me and I'll get you the right person. But it's something we're looking into supporting more, because we do want some more standardized appearances for Canvas for all the students, because we're starting to have courses that could be blended courses that are specifically marketed as online and in the classroom, and then also looking forward to having students. There may be special courses that on-ground students can take online. So we're trying to get a standardized experience for everybody. So, please reach out to us if you have some issues or some questions about how to put things up into your course.
Definitely. We are coming towards the end of the hour, so we have about 5 minutes left. If anyone else has any other questions or comments or anything that they'd like help with. Did we get all the questions answered? I know that we had a lot coming in kind of as we were going through and talking about these things, and from what I can tell, I think we did answer everything. Cherie did give a comment saying that the Canvas IT is awesome. And if you have a chat with them, they will email the notes of your conversation so you can refer back to them, which is helpful.
Yeah, I think we got everything.
Okay. Well, sounds good. It was a great discussion. Thanks, Mark, for your help and your expertise. That was really good. And you're very clear and precise in your instruction, and
Thank you.
Very much appreciated.
Sure, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
And thank you, Jenny, for joining as well. Jenny is our newest ID on the team, and she joins in and will, listen in and learn while she also has any comments or contributions that might come up as well. We appreciate you for joining in, Jenny. And everyone else for attending. Thank you, and we will see you next time. Have a good day.
Thanks.